And we are 15 minutes away from opening our grain and livestock trade here on this Crop Progress Tuesday. Let's get to our friends from Allendale. Rich Nelson joining us from his office in Allendale. And Rich, it's Tuesday, looking at these reports. And weather, of course, driving everything here. So these weekly reports, and Janet just had a story that as we get deeper into the season here, these weekly updates carry a little more weight. You agree with that?
You know, I certainly can say that, certainly for the soybean side, whereas we're moving into the soybean pod setting phase. I think you can make that very clear argument, certainly for soybeans, that these are definitely important for us right now.
All right, let's take a look, a broad brush look nationally at our crops here, corn, soybeans, cotton, sorghum, rice. Take a look and talk about the numbers here. Corn down 1% nationally, beans up 1%. We'll start there.
You know, as far as the main issues here on this one, corn did fall 1% as far as nationwide numbers. Now 60% good to excellent. That's still just a small tad underneath the 5-year average. Soybeans increasing about 1% there. That was maybe a little surprise for the trade, and that is equal to the 5-year average. As far as the other crops, looking at spring wheat, for instance, that one did increase 1% there, now 32% complete. And as far as some of the other crops, you're looking at cotton, for instance. This one, we did see some minor changes. For instance, right now I've got about a 65% rating as far as the cotton side. And looking more at sorghum, we've got numbers right now about 61% as far as good to excellent as far as that side.
Let's go across Interstate 80 here. Interesting that you look at the some major corn-producing states. Iowa down 1%, Nebraska down 2%, Illinois down, well, this just says down 5%. I think I had them down. Yes, they were down 5% as far as corn is concerned. That's a lot of corn in those 3 states.
That is. In fact, those are your top 3 producers, as we all very well know. And this is maybe an issue we got to point out as far as these numbers. You know, it was only Ohio, which was unchanged, and Indiana, which was up 3, which supported the trade on the corn side. And looking over at the soybeans, for instance, I've got the same type of scenario. Nebraska down 2, Iowa down 1, Illinois down 2 right there. And then Indiana and Ohio pulling up a 3 to 5% gain. So for both of these, this was a Western Corn Belt reaching into now the Eastern Corn Belt problems here. And maybe some of the guys in the outlying areas trying to support the numbers.
Yeah, let's take a look at the soybean conditions again across Interstate 80. As you mentioned, some of those states that stick out, again, that western and central belt, when you're down 2% in Nebraska, 2% in Illinois, and down at all in Iowa, whatever it might be, in early August, not a good sign here when you try to get a crop here. Again, that equals 47 bushels an acre.
I think that's exactly right. And though we did see some gains for the Dakotas, for instance, on the soybeans, South Dakota up 4, North Dakota up 3. You know, these are important states, but certainly might be overshadowed by the top 3 states as far as the main production issues.
All right.
So on these ones, maybe not getting the numbers that we hope to see once we see the breakdown here.
Yeah, just reading before coming on the air, Rich, that talk about the wheat trade. September Chicago wheat closing higher, first time since July 28th. That was hard to believe that we're back that far before we had a higher close. So anyway, the bottom line is, see if you agree that they pushed this market down pretty far, and not much more room for a lower trade. Doesn't mean we can't, but your thoughts here in wheat.
I would certainly agree with that issue here, certainly for the short term. We do have some further downside in our price projections for some of these wheat contracts from here, but I can certainly say for the short term, I see no reason at all for this market to be plowing lower, especially with corn holding stable right now, and a lot of people questioning exactly what type of wheat production we are going to see ahead of Thursday's report.
Very good. Rich, we'll open this market here in about 10 minutes, but we thank you for your time getting us started this morning.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. Rich Nelson from Allendale joining us every morning, kicking things off before the trade opens. We'll take a look at the livestock trade, check in with our good friend Ed Serwin, looking at last week's cash and carcass cattle trade. That all coming up.